I'm Kat Reinhart. I'm the former president of this org. And I am a new full professor of songwriting at Berklee in the fall. I live in New York City, so I'm going to do that commute. And I am a songwriter and a singer and a contemporary voice specialist. And I've been on the New York City music scene for 25 years. So that is kind of, for all of you young peoples, it is possible. Because I have not worked outside of music since I graduated Manhattan School of Music in 1999. Woo! So that was the only goal I had upon graduation, was never outside of music. So, and this is...
Thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Chris Sampson, and I am the founding director of the Popular Music Program at University of Southern California, Thornton School of Music in Los Angeles. Woo! Shout out to LA. And there I am the professor of songwriting. I teach production, I teach careers in music, I teach entrepreneurship, and in the fall I'm launching a new graduate program in popular music teaching and learning. And in my career I've had many seasons as a songwriter, producer, touring artist, recording artist, educator, author, and that's one thing about a career in music that I embody, is that it changes. It changes over time, and that you wear many different hats over time, and all of them are exciting, and all of them are very, very rewarding. And over my 3 decades of a career, been able to see it from pretty much every angle. So ask away, and I pass it along.
Hi, everybody. I am Raina Murnak. I'm the head of contemporary voice and performance artistry at the Frost School of Music, University of Miami. So, I'm a songwriter, producer, choreographer. I'm a vocal specialist. I love working with bands. I love choreographing and blocking on the stage. I recently wrote a musical. I'm doing a lot, but that's what you do in music. You just keep learning, you keep growing, ideally, right? You never want to reach the end of the path and be like, I guess that's all I do, because technology will change, the world will change. So that is it, and I'm going to pass the mic.
Hey, what's up? A round of applause. Where's that at? Yeah, come on. What are we doing? My name's Victor Sawyer. I'm a trombone player or a music teaching artist, but primarily trombone from Memphis, Tennessee. I went to the University of Memphis where I majored in classical trombone, but then went to the Manhattan School of Music where I majored in jazz trombone. I served as a production and stage manager at the Manhattan School of Music, and then back home in Memphis, taught at the world famous Stax Music Academy, also Crosstown High School. And then also I'm a freelance, so I run a band called Lucky 7 Brass Band, and most recently play with Al Capone, who is the Whoop That Trick guy for the Memphis Grizzlies. So that was really fun. And so I play with a lot of rap artists and old school soul artists and stuff like that. So just happy to be here. Oh, you got one. Okay.
What? Good afternoon. My name is Cassandra O'Neal. I am a pianist, singer, producer, writer, all these wonderful things. I graduated from the New School of Jazz and Contemporary Music. Before that, during that, I was playing with Prince for 7 years prior to his death. And before that, I was with Macy Gray, Mary J., Pink, Babyface, Sheila E., played on numerous commercials, TV shows, all that stuff. And made the transition in 2018. I am now at Columbia College Chicago, where I teach I have 3 ensembles: the R&B ensemble, the gospel band ensemble, and the hip hop ensemble. I do private lessons, foundations, all of that. And like these wonderful people before me, I enjoy being able to say that I pretty much have done it all, and I'm still not done. I'm working on my album, Soul Pop Chronicles. Hope to be out in September, so pray. And I'm happy to be here.
And I am Steve Holly. I am currently the vice president of the Association for Pop and Music Education. I am a bass player. I think one thing you kind of heard across is people are, we have these multiple careers, these multiple hats we wear. It's typically referred to as a portfolio career, and I am the same way. It's kind of how do you get a gig? What do you need to do or what do you need to be to get a gig? So for me, bass player for 10 years, based out of Memphis, went on the road for several years. Played thousands of gigs, studio recording, things like that. Author, educator. What I did for 20 years is where I'm at now in Denver is I ran a high school popular music program. I called it the Kent Denver School, and it was unlike any other program in the country at the time. We didn't have concert band. We didn't have marching band. We didn't have orchestras or anything like that. We did have R&B bands, soul bands, pop bands, salsa bands, jazz bands. The students were able to record in our studio right there on campus. They were able to play and tour with Grammy Award-winning artists. The kids played 30 to 40 gigs a year on their own. I was rarely ever involved in those. It was really all them. And then we did tours every year, either, once again, learning more about the culture and history of a certain city, going to New Orleans, going to Memphis, going to Miami. We also toured internationally. We played at the Montreux Jazz Festival, the Preda Soul Festival in Italy, the Festival del Tambor in Havana, Cuba. So once again, just trying to give the students not just a once-in-a-lifetime experience, giving them multiple lifetime experiences on the way, but then also the social skills, the life skills, the musical skills to do whatever they wanted to do from there. So that's who we all are. So what questions do you all have?
How do you like balance both wanting to like play music while also like doing your other occupations like teaching music or like helping write and stuff like that?
Trickly.
For me, and we'll hear for me, it's all one thing. It's all one thing. It's very holistic in terms of how you approach. As I mentioned, I teach a careers in music, and I always reframe it as a life in music. It's a lifestyle and how we approach it. And for me, teaching is reframing, re-articulating everything that I do in practice. And so it took me a while, but I came to a place where I just don't separate it, any of it. It all feels like one activity, one lifestyle, and one purpose. So that's how I guess my outlook on it. But that's a great question. It really is.
Yeah, I would second that. I mean, it's the whole thing. It's not, oh, I have this backup thing. It's like, no, I do this, and 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 all of these things add up to being a holistic approach and a whole person, right? Like, we all have different, multiple ways of being in the world, and I think each one of these ways that each one of us uses our different skills and things is our way of showing up into the world, and a way of being, because if I only do one thing, then, and I have done that in the past, I just feel lost. And so, just like Chris, it's just like, it's taken a while to figure those things out, but you'll figure it out. Yeah.
I think one thing to think about, I agree with that. It's just one life. Like, you're just a musician, not just a musician, but like you're an artist, you're a person. And so it all flows together. And I think as far as the balance, because ultimately, yeah, you're going to feel the strain of like, I got this concert, but I also want to write this symphony real quick. And like, it's a lot. And so I think one thing I've learned across time is what helps me stay not crazy is like looking for not just the commonalities, but the synergy of it all. So like, I like to juke, right? And I had somebody, juking is a popular Memphis urban dance style. My fault. There's only like 3 Memphians. Really and I just said that. And anyway, like somebody was like, hey man, I saw you practicing that juking. I ain't seen you posting about that playing. And then sure enough, it's like, yeah, but if you come see the show, the juking becomes a part of the show. And then if you come see the juking, I can hit it harder because I play the music. And so just looking for how the different things feed into one another just helps maintain that singular identity.
I think that that is everything that's been said has been poignant. I think that one thing that we have to remember is it's the music that got us to all these different places. So even with me being a teacher, it was the musicianship in me, the musician in me that got me there, right? So Victor, right? as Victor just said, it's a constant thing that you're going to have to do, especially, I'll say before you get maybe 40, when you learn that you have to be responsible about life and stuff and things. It's going to be a constant battle, and you're going to enjoy the battle because you're figuring out ways to do it. Time management, that's a main one. Especially when you're teaching and you're playing too. And there's going to be some things that you have to say no to because you have a class. And these are the same principles that I live by are the same principles that I teach my students. You know what I mean? I'm like, you're gonna have to make that hefty decision on whether to come to my class or do that gig. And you're gonna have to accept the responsibilities of each one of your decisions, whatever that is. So it's an ongoing thing, and it's a wonderful thing. You get to learn as you go and as you grow and you get older, so.
So I think that part of the reason teaching can work is because teaching is seasonal. So there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to a semester, and that gives me a lot of mental space to know where my creativity can best come out. Because truly, I leave it in, I do it all for my students. And that is very draining, honestly, in a great way. So at the end of the day, when I'm helping everybody else with their creativity, the last thing I want to do is go home and be creative. It's just not in me anymore. So knowing that you have to leave space for your own soul, and when you don't, you feel very imbalanced as a musician and a creator because you're not coming from your own source anymore. So I think it's not as easy as, it's all like one. It's one thing for very practiced people who are really good at time management, but you have to realize you have to make space for yourself. Or otherwise the other thing doesn't come out either. So it's like both things, like the font has to be there, like inside.
Yeah, so beautiful. So what are some other questions? What y'all got? Yeah, go ahead.
Do any of you have any advice for like an independent singer-songwriter, like independent artist trying to, have a career? I don't know.
Don't give up.
That's what I was gonna say. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it, because the thing about the glory in being an independent artist, you have no one to answer to but yourself. You run everything, which makes it harder because in some cases, because, record companies, they have departments to do things for you, to do your social media, to do your whatever, interviews, blah, 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 blah. But you get to control that, which means whatever interviews, however many you want to do, whatever appearances you want to do, however many concerts you want to do, it's up to you. It's more work, but you're in control of it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to split any money. Ooh, hallelujah. You don't have to split no money with nobody else but you and your band and whoever is on your team. You don't have to look for those miscellaneous charges on your check like, oh, well, wait a minute. I thought I was getting this, but who got that? So I would just say stay with it and just be happy with the control of it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of artists wish that they had it. If you look on YouTube and look at artists like Maya and other people that were signed to big name, Warner Brothers and Capitol and things like that, and the freedom that they have now, they're very happy that they went through what they went through, but now they're in that space where they're free. So enjoy the freedom.
And to add to that, I think for anyone, know what you're good at and know what you're not good at. Right. And farm out the stuff that either, you just know it's not in you. If you're not a graphic designer and you hate it, don't kill yourself find a friend. And spend a little money and instead of thinking about, I'm spending, it's investing. No, you're investing in your career, right? And so you're investing in people that are helping you. You're creating, as Cassie was talking about, you're having a team, right? Just like if you sign to a label, they have a team. Well, you get to choose your team. You don't get your team handed to you. You get to find them. And that's really empowering. But I think, finding the things and knowing what you're good at and knowing what you're not, and just being okay with that. We can't do it all. It's not in us, so it's okay, to not do it everything.
If I can pick up that thread, and I'll just pass it down if that's okay. Collaboration is at the heart of this work. And so we're talking about this team, but it's also cultivating a community and using that community as that extension. And that community goes two ways. So part of what you need to think about is not just how people can bring value to your project, but how can you be a good community member? And cultivating that, it just creates this dynamic in which independent artists start to find pathways for themselves because they were a great member of the community. People are rooting for you, you're rooting for other people. And so don't overlook also making sure that it's a two-way street, working with people in a mutually beneficial way.
And also have a plan and have goals. Because if you don't have benchmarks, don't mistake activity for achievement. You don't want to keep doing the thing that's not working, and really get advice from people. I mean, really, and come to them with, these are my goals. How can I get from here to here to here? Have the big goal, but then have those little mini goals so that you can see for yourself that it's not all for naught, And those could be social metrics. Those could be, I did this many performances in this amount of time. But, you want to perceive growth, because the worst thing a creator can do is feel like it's for naught.
I think one thing to remember too is don't forget that if you're going for your solo artist career, that it's not a bad thing to also have a freelance career. There's an incredible amount to learn by being a sideman. Oftentimes it can just finance your solo career so you don't have to work at American Eagle or something like that, which, hey, no shame in American Eagle. But and then in addition to that, if you really dig into some of your favorite artists' lives, I like Miles Davis is a great example, where Miles Davis is considered one of the most singular jazz artists ever. But he constantly talked about how he learned so much from Billy Eckstine's band. He was in the big band. And then subsequently, Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter are by playing with Miles, I learned a lot. And so there's a lot of value. And also, and this is a little Machiavellian, if you're playing with another independent artist, you can watch their mistakes. You can watch what they did right, and you can watch what they did wrong, and you can sort of not have to make the same mistakes because you on the bandstand with them. You saw it. You're like, yeah, they talk too much when they on stage. I'm not going to do that as an artist. You know what I'm saying? Little stuff like that. And so you're refining by observing. And once again, the money.
Yeah, and just to flip to add on to what Victor was saying, that kind of idea is flipping your question. What if you don't want to be an artist, a singer-songwriter? What if you're I just want to freelance. I just want to be a sideman. You can certainly do that, but again, it's that building community. It's not having those, I want to develop relationships that are, it's a transactional relationship. If they give me a gig, I'll then give them a gig or get something, so then it becomes this quid pro quo, and it may never pay back. So that's something to kind of think about. And also just the business aspect of it. We talked about being in terms of time organization, making sure that you can invest your money, put money in the bank, do your taxes, pay your taxes, understand contracts, understand licensing, copyright, all the business side of the industry, so you can continue doing the artistry, doing the freelance gig. Because a lot of times in colleges, at least when I was in school, if we only learned anything about music business if we actually signed up to take a music business class. It wasn't part of the curriculum. But the idea was that we had some interesting examples out there in Memphis of folks who had lost, musicians who had lost everything because they decided, I'm just not going to do my taxes for a few years, and then just went downhill from there.
Real quick too, just also go out and see a lot of music, not only just so you can get inspired by what you're hearing, but do you like the Marvel stuff? You watch the Marvel Universe stuff? If you're an independent artist, you want to be Nick Fury. You don't want to go to Asgard and be like, okay, I'm going to get the Asgard team, or I'm going to go to Tony Stark and I'm going to get the AIM team. You want to be like, forget all that. I want the Avengers. And so you go see one band, you're like, that band kind of sucks, but that bass player. And then you go see another band and you like this drummer, and suddenly you got your community, and you could say, I'm going to put together my Avengers. And so you got your squad that's going to be able to realize your vision exactly like you want it. because you didn't just settle for what was around you. You went out and looked for the hero units you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that. What else y'all have? Other questions? Yeah.
Can you guys speak, I'm short, can you guys speak to the students about the power of finding the positive of a no?
The positive of a no, like
Yeah,
of
as in,
saying no.
Going to hear no from other people, of getting
Oh.
how you turn that into like a powerful experience.
I don't know how many no's have we gotten.
I've never heard the word no, so
I
I,
What is this word? No.
Yeah, we don't
no.
know. On no. I think like you need a tough skin, and you need to be able to, I think, like own your own space. You know, like no just means not now. You know, it's not, and it's not always, or it just might not be the right fit. Like if you are, you know, a Nora Jones artist and you approach a label that is doing only metal and punk, and they tell you no, and you're like, oh, I'm such a terrible artist. Well, no, you're not a terrible artist. You didn't do your homework, right? Like, you have to know where you're going. You have to know what you want. But also, you're gonna get no. But no doesn't mean, it just means no right now. So try again. And then if you get another no, you try again. And if you get another, you go again. At a certain point, you're going to be like, okay, this isn't for me, and you'll walk away because it's not you'll understand something about it. You can even ask, like, well, why not? And they might be like, well, you don't have enough Spotify followers. And you're like, okay, so go get them and come back to the person and say, like, I have 1 million Spotify followers. And they're like, and you told me that that's what I needed to get a gig, so give me the gig, you know? So, yeah, it's no is something you're going to hear. So just, it's okay.
Yeah, it's certainly okay. And I don't know if this is turning no into a positive or a powerful experience, but it does help, and this is how I coach my students, to understand, when we talk about the music industry, it's a lot of different things, but let's just talk labels for right now, that they are inherently risk adverse. Okay, they're trained to say no because they don't want to take a chance. It's taking a risk on you. So understand that they've got that buffer already. They're keeping you at arm's distance. And when you do understand that, then you get to kind of reapproach them and push all the right buttons to be able to say, and here's why I'm a safe bet, or I'm less of a risk. Because that's the lens in which they have to view this. Should I take a chance on investing on this particular artist where I might lose a lot of money? You know, so understanding that inherently a lot of sectors of the music industry are risk adverse, and therefore they're gonna have these defenses that say no, and just understanding that helps you navigate that. So that may have got a little too in the woods, but you know what I'm talking about.
that's great. And also, a no is a chance to reevaluate, like everybody was saying, like, why no, right? Is there something you could do differently? Is there something that you could make stronger? But let's be real. It's very unlikely that most of you are going to be super successful in the music industry. Know that going into it, okay? Every success story that you see is the tip of an iceberg standing on a lot of other ice. So if that's your goal, that's one thing. But there are so many ways to have a career in music that is not that one thing, the hero that you saw, the tip of the iceberg. There are entire icebergs of musical communities and jobs within music. So a no sometimes is a healthy temperature check of, okay, do I want to, and also the people who are at that top are some of the hardest working people. You might think, oh, they're on the top of the mountain. No, it's work. That's the beginning of the work, right? Like, that's the beginning of the hard work. So there are so many ways, and I'm not trying to burst your bubble, but I am trying to be realistic. Like, don't have an expectation that you're going to hear the word yes. To be a creator, to be a true artist, you have to be true to yourself first. So if what you're doing is true and you hear no, 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 but you know that's you, keep doing that. You're eventually going to find your people, right? But the no can guide you in really awesome other ways. I think that a lot of us got into education because of different no's in our life that said, well, you know what, but I'm good at this, but I can give this to someone else. And so the no is part of God's plan to like guide you somewhere that you're meant to be.
I think also the story of Jimi Hendrix is a great example where, like, you know, most humans are the same. There's billions of humans on the earth. We're all individuals. That's cute. We know that. But at the end of the day, for the most part, there's like 20 different archetypes of people, and it's the same all around the world. You know what I'm saying? And so if you like it, chances are there's a large amount of the population that likes it. You know what I'm saying? And I think Joan Jett, Jimi Hendrix, I think those are two great examples where they just knew. You know, they stayed with it. And of course, Jimi Hendrix had to go to another country for somebody to finally be like, yo, this is the best stuff I've ever heard. And Americans weren't messing with it. No, like Americans were not messing with Jimi Hendrix at all. And he went somewhere else, got the clout, and then Americans were all about it. You know, so just remember that, like, if you like it, if you got two homies that like it, it's definitely at least 100,000 people somewhere on the planet that are messing with your music. You know what I'm saying?
After all of that, y'all teaching me some things. I'll say that the no is, I'll say it like this. Sometimes you'll get a yes that should have been a no. And I know that every person up on this stage knows exactly what I'm talking about. You get that gig that from the outside looking in, because you know who they are, okay, from a musical standpoint, oh, this is going to be a wonderful gig, and then you get in it, and it's like, oh no, I shouldn't have took this gig. So what the no provides you with is the opportunity for the yes, right? It allows you to put yourself in a position to say yes to the right person. These days, you can do research on everybody. Back when I was coming up, we didn't have the internet. We couldn't pull up stuff. We couldn't figure out, you know, if these people were nice people. You know, the principal singers that were up front, are they nice people? You know, are they going to treat me like I'm a nice person? I'm not saying kiss my butt. Just treat me like I'm a person. You know what I'm saying? I'm a part of your entourage, but I'm also a person. And I have a life. And so, you know, don't be so quick to say yes is what I'm getting at. Don't be so quick. Do your research. Everything is on the internet now. Go see their Instagram. See how they are. And even though some things are smoke and mirrors, you follow your gut. That's another thing. Your gut always knows. If your head is saying one thing, but your gut is saying another, follow that gut. It has that's where the food is. It knows. All right?
Like I think just like sometimes it's the really big things you don't do that get you the win. Like, honestly, it's true.
Other questions?
I should end up working with Prince.
First of all, I was the biggest Prince fan growing up. Both my parents, my father was a preacher, and both my parents were singers, but they allowed us to listen to everything. So as a kid, I loved Purple Rain and the Parade and Round the World in a Day and all of that. And at age 12, I said I was going to play for a big name pop artist, and I didn't know who it was. After moving to Los Angeles, I met Sheila E. I did a gig with her, a Sisters in the Spirit, which was a gospel tour. And something happened with Yolanda Adams one particular night. Yolanda decided to do a different song. And she says, Cassie, I want to do something different tonight, okay? And I'm like, okay. This is on the tour. And she started singing something, and just the house was on its feet after that. Sheila comes behind me and hugs me from behind and says, I gotta have you in my band, cousin. I gotta have you in my band. And I'm like, woo, you know, because that's the closest thing to Prince for me. And I've been a Sheila E. fan, you know, since I was a kid. And so I started playing for her in 2005. We did the NAACP Awards. Sheila's band accompanied Prince. You can look it up on YouTube. It's the Vanguard Award that he won. And so it was basically a few of Prince's band members, but with Sheila E.'s band. He wanted me back then. I was doing a whole bunch of stuff. I was MDing for Macy Gray at the time and playing at the biggest church in LA. And Sheila was like, if you do this, you're going to have to give all that up, and I don't think you're ready. So I'll tell him you're doing stuff for me. Skip ahead to 2009. He asked if myself, Sheila, Kat Dyson, and Rhonda Smith, both who had played with Prince prior, could go with him to the Montreux Jazz Festival that year. And I could, but my mother's birthday was on that same day. And Mom was like, no, you go. And I was like, no, it's your 70th birthday. I want to be with you. So he understood. And he said, well, if I can't have Cassie, I want none of y'all. So I'm going to go a different direction.
Notice she said no to Prince. You got that, right? Like twice?
Right. So, see, I wasn't even going to go there. But October of that year, I got a call just out the blue saying Prince would like for you to come to Paisley Park and hang out. And I went on a Friday, and we were supposed to go into the studio, but that didn't happen. Saturday, I go to Paisley Park, and I'm standing there. I didn't know what to do. I'm just looking around at this wonderful place that I had heard so much about, and this very short, debonair man comes bopping up and says, so, how long do I have you? I said, how long do you need me? He said, do you have a coat? And I lived in LA, and so the answer was no. And so I went and got a coat, and that day turned into 3 weeks of me being at Paisley Park working with his musical director, Morris Hayes. And then I got whisked off away to Paris to do my first show with him with half of a rehearsal. And that turned into 7 years of being his keyboard player, background singer, and then musical director.
But she said no to Prince twice, right? We're talking about saying no.
You don't do that. And she's
No, but,
right.
But
you
I think
don't.
we just talked about like no, right? And I think like sometimes it's the really big things you don't do that get you the win. It got you the gig at the right time for the right place and the right thing, right? So I think remembering that, like it's all tied together.
It's all time, space, and opportunity. And being at the right place.
Yeah, it's the thing about it, this gig begats this gig begats this gig, and it's just, it could be this progression. It's really however far you want to take it. But you know, a lot of times in the music history, it really is about who you know or who knows you. And if someone knows you as, oh yeah, that's the cat that shows up late, didn't show up with the snare drum. Matt, should I tell that story? Doesn't show up. It doesn't have the right clothes on, but at least he has a bad attitude. It probably isn't going to last very long. Just really isn't. You know, being like you said, treat people like they're a person. If someone comes onto the gig and you know they're just not, they don't play nice in the sandbox, they're probably not going to be invited back. So.
Yeah, and to that too, I mean, when you're in school or you go to college or if you're in a music program or something, like show up on time, be prepared, because you know, we get calls from people who are looking for musicians or whatever. Like I've gotten many, and they're like, Kat, did you have this student at such and such? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how were they? And I'm like, oh, well, you don't want to hire them, you know, or don't forget, like every time that you're in a room, like you've got to show up like you mean it, you know, and because it matters, and that carries on for a long time.
You never know who's listening. You never know who's going to be in the room. It might be the next gig.
And you know, to what you were asking about earlier, how crazy is it? Prince does not need to change his band up. Prince could do whatever he wants with whoever he wants. It's going to sound good, right? But still, he's an he's an independent artist, right? He's an artist, and he was like, nah, I'm still on the hunt. I'm still on the hunt for the sound I want. He found you, and that probably was closer to what he wanted, at least at the time, you know? So, like, once again, just stay on the hunt. Stay on the hunt.
What are some other yeah.
What's your advice on getting in the musical world if you're not going into music as a career?
You mean if you're not going into school for music, or?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Man, music's just music. Like, I think I remember, you know, you want to put a label on what kind of musician you are, but at the end of the day, music is music. You know, there's a guy from Memphis right now, his name's Glenn. Glenn's a trombone player. He went to private school. He moved to Nashville for like accounting or engineering or something, but he was still playing trombone. He had no intention of becoming like a megastar. He toured with like one group, And then like he moved to Nashville like maybe half a year in. Kelly Clarkson called him. Kelly Clarkson hit him up, and now he's playing with Kelly Clarkson. This dude was not, he wouldn't have considered himself a musician, a pro musician, but what does that really mean, a pro musician, right? There's plenty of people that call themselves pros that left the snare drum at home. There's plenty of people that call themselves amateurs who end up playing with Kelly Clarkson, you know? So just try not to label yourself, just focus on your musical goals. You know, if you want to shred like Van Halen, focus on that and do that. But don't focus on the label. Just focus on doing the music.
I don't know if Age Bedell is in the room. Is she? Okay, I saw the presentation that they gave earlier, and it was very interesting because it was her and two of her friends who were aspiring doctors. One's going to be an OBGYN and one's going to be a pediatric surgeon. And their whole presentation was on music and how music was such a powerful tool. I mean, these are two people who are in med school, right? But they had to make music somehow a part of their career. So they had this whole new initiative for anti-fragility and working with actually children who have been shot, okay? So creating this entire music program using DAWs and creating music and doing this, bringing people in as a therapeutic means. I think when you're a musician, when you have it in you, whether you're an avid supporter of music, you have to go to concerts, you have to make the music, it's not something you should repress. So keep it a part of your life no matter what you have to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Many times I'm following artists and they release an album and it's amazing, it's great. Then they announce another one and it's all hyped up and everyone's super excited about it, and they release it and it's not very good. And other times they release a great thing, kind of, oh yeah, I'm doing this other project, release it and it's even better. Like, I guess what advice do you have for one-upping something you've already done that was great?
Don't try.
That's what I was going to say. Don't try.
Don't try. Just do it. Just do your thing and be you, because the trends change so much, and what was hot last week is not going to be hot within the next 3 weeks. And so just make the music. Don't worry about that other stuff. I was about to say other-ish, but yeah. But it's true. Because the thing is you don't want the little foxes to stifle your creativity. What you think, Jonathan McReynolds said this. He came to, as you know, he's alumni of Columbia, and he came for our Artists in Residence program. And he said that one idea that you thought was crazy is the one idea that just might get you where you need to be. So don't ignore the ideas. Just do it. And accept the consequences as they come. It's true. Accept the consequences as they come. You know what I'm saying?
Consequences?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Consequences. Suffer for the consequences, exactly. Yeah, accept the consequences as they come. Because you never know where it's going to take you.
Hashtag consequences.
Me and my homeboy Raw were having a conversation at lunch, and we were talking about Bruno Mars. But y'all know Coldplay. Everybody knows Coldplay, right? Everybody know Coldplay? All right, let me ask the young people. If you had to put a genre on Coldplay, what would you put them as? What would you say, Coldplay? Pop rock, alt rock, yeah. What else? What would some of y'all say for Coldplay right now? Pop. So I'm old enough that Coldplay is definitely not a pop act. 100% they're not a pop act. And so I think I would reflect on the artists you like that have had a long career and think about entry points. Like, for example, my entry point to Red Hot Chili Peppers is Californication. People that listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers before Californication hate Californication and think that that's when they started to suck. When Stadium Arcadium came out, I was like, that's not my Red Hot Chili Peppers. But that was some people. And so now you go to a Red Hot concert, though, all ages, all backgrounds. And so sometimes, once again, maybe your million fans that liked your first two albums hate your third album. But there's a million more people that are like, whoa, I hated that dude at first, but now he's really figured it out. You know what I mean? So just stay confident and just stay true.
I'll just add, you guys are saying things beautiful, but true artists evolve, and it's I've always mentioned to students that when they do commit to something that's on record, that's like a snapshot. That's them at that particular time. What's your name? Alex. You release a record, that's Alex 1.0. And I become a fan. And I'm going to be on the journey with you for Alex 2.0 and Alex 3.0. And that journey might take some surprises. That's not the Alex I want, but then you surprise me with Alex 3.0. But I've got huge respect for any artist that takes that journey, that goes on the evolution. And to be honest, less so with people who just go, well, that worked last time, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again. So, yeah.
I think there's a business aspect to it too, though. BTS is really masterful at it. There's a great article, I believe, from BTS about how one of their strategies, obviously they put out good music, but they're really about cultivating a rabid fan base. Because if you do that with TikTok and social media and everything what you put out, you'll find going on the journey, the rabid fans will not care what you put out because they're here for you. They want to support you. They don't care. They don't care if you do a free jazz album after you did a dance album. They want it because what you said, Sam, right? No, Alex. Because Alex is my guy. So I don't care what Alex is putting out. I'm going to go see it. So from a music business standpoint, too, in the modern times, you also want to think about cultivating, like, people that are fans of you, not just your music.
Yeah, I mean, I know we have to wrap, but, like, I think Martha Graham, she has a quote somewhere that says, like, your job is to create, as an artist, is to create. What anybody thinks of what you create is none of your business. And I love that. I think it's really powerful. So I know we got to wrap, but yeah.
Right. Raina, you want something?
God, no, oh my. I mean, there's so many questions. I think that the most important thing that you can do is ask your questions. You have many teachers in this room, and they have so much knowledge for you. And look, this is not a prescribed path, okay? So none of us can sit here and say, oh, do this, this, and this, and you're going to do whatever. But I promise you, if you are integritous, if you work on yourself, if you constantly are thinking about improving and learning, you are going to get somewhere in music, I promise you. So just if it's in you, just believe in it and take it seriously. Don't let people, music, like, let me tell you, music majors in college, that is some of the hardest work that anybody can do. And I used to teach an honors course with, like, medical students, and I would say, show me your schedule. They'd show me, like, 4 3-credit classes. And then I'd go, and the music major schedule would, like, roll out. It would be like 20 classes for, like, 1 for no credit, and 6-hour rehearsal. So it's a very intense path. Throw yourself into it. Let it be. And connect. Like, we're all still connecting. Like, this is so important for you. So, and also bring friends next time to this conference and get involved, because we want to learn your names too. We want to see you guys rise up and do what you're meant to be and teach us, because we learn just as much from you all as you can from us.
You all here, all the students, just you all are part of our community. All right, so it is our community as a collective. So, the next couple of days while you all are here, if you have some questions, if you want any of us or anyone else in the room to talk deeper about something, stop us and just introduce yourself and say, hey, the thing you said that was really cool. Can we talk about that real quick? If you have any suggestions, questions for us, anything you all want to talk about, just come find us, because like I said, we're all in this together. But I want to take a moment to thank Kat, Chris, Raina, Victor, and Cassandra. And so once again, thank you all so very much.
Thanks,
have
Steve.
some festivals starting in about 5 minutes. And hey, appreciate it. Thank you. And thanks to all the students for great questions and for coming. Have a great rest of the day.